Hello class, good afternoon. How are you doing today? Hope that you are fine and in good health. Today, we're going to continue our lessons on Unit 5, page 56. Unit 5 was a continuation from last week's, which we studied festivals and events. Today, we're talking about Chinese New Year's as our festivals and our event. Do you know what Chinese New Year is? Yes, I hope so. Have you celebrated Chinese New Year? Or have your family or your friends take you to an event during Chinese New Year's? If so, yes, please let me know and explain some places or things you do during Chinese New Year's. Let me ask you this question. During what month is Chinese New Year celebrated? Can you tell me? Is it in the beginning of the year, or the end of the year, or sometime in the middle of the year? If you say Chinese New Year is celebrated either in January or the beginning of February, you are correct. Because Chinese New Year is celebrated based on by the Lunar Calendar, which we will discuss a little later on. The Lunar Calendar will tells you when Chinese New Year is celebrated, rather it's in the end of January or the beginning of February. So, how many days is Chinese New Year celebrated? For a foreigner, meaning someone that's not Chinese, how long do we celebrate Chinese New Year? And as for a Chinese national, meaning Chinese people, how long do they celebrate Chinese New Year? These are the things that we will find out during our discussion and our reading today. But as for a foreigner, someone that's non-Chinese, usually we celebrate Chinese New Year for 1 or 2 days just for a particular event, celebrating the beginning of a new year and the end of the old year. So that is what Chinese New Year. Let me ask you, on Chinese New Year's, for foreigners and a national, what do they receive during New Year's? Or what do they have for gift from friends or family during Chinese New Year's? Does it come in an envelope? And what color is the envelope if it does come in from an envelope? If you say the envelope is red and contains certain gift, you might be correct. Those are envelopes full with gift from a friend or a family that represents good luck and good fortune. Have you ever received any of them envelopes from your friends or families? You say, yes, sir. I know I received a few, and they, as a gift from the heart from our Chinese friends, knowing that or representing that I am one of their friends, and they give it to me as a gift to bring me good fortune for the coming years. So that is what the red envelope stands for. But that will be part of our reading. You will learn more about this reading. Okay, on to our keywords that I wrote down here with something that pertains to the Chinese New Year. As we talked earlier, the Lunar Calendar. Lunar Calendar is a calendar from what? Can you tell me? I will give you one example of a lunar calendar. Well, I'll give you the meaning of a lunar calendar. It is a calendar based on by the moon. Lunar means moon. So Chinese New Year is celebrated based on the lunar calendar. Whatever the full moons lands on the end of January to February lands on, that is when they celebrate Chinese New Year. Did you notice that? That's pretty interesting, huh? And at the end of Chinese New Year's, they celebrated the Lantern Festival. What is the Lantern Festival? I will leave that on your thoughts, so after you read your text, you will understand what a Lantern Festival is and what it represents and what it means for the Chinese people. And the last word that I wrote down here is Chinatown. Chinatown. Is there a Chinatown here in Cambodia? There's probably quite a few of them, huh? But a Chinatown is, I would say, through my experience traveling, is all over the world. You can find a Chinatown in every country in this world. And you will read more about Chinatown in your text. I didn't want to go to too much detail because I don't want to give you too much information about our reading. Okay, let's go on to our first task of this exercise. Your first task is on page 57. Can you turn your book to page 57? I have mine there. On page 57, talk about Chinese New Year's. and it has some tasks in front of the page. But these tasks, I want you to do before you're reading. It is called testing your knowledge. That means I want to see how much you know about Chinese New Year's. And this book also wants to see how much you know about Chinese New Year's without actually reading the text first. So you will be given 40 minutes to answer the whole questions on page 56. And during the questions, please do not read the book yet. This is just testing your knowledge. So there is no right or wrong answers in these questions. It's just seeing how much you know about Chinese New Year. But the questions on number 1 through 5, they want you to use English preposition to answer the question. What is English preposition, you might ask? Have some of you studied English and English grammars? What is a preposition? You can say preposition is a word like off, on, to, or is describing and things that you're going to do. You are correct. So from question 1 to 5, they want you to answer these questions, picking the right prepositions for the words. Again, this is just testing your knowledge. So there is no right or wrong answers. You see the pictures on the box, they have some pictures and some image here that is in black and white. I will upload some color pictures for you and post it on our post so you have a better viewing. Okay, you will be given 30 minutes to complete this task. Once you complete the task, you can send it to our Telegram post so everybody can see how much you know about Chinese New Year. Remember, there can't be no two same answers because all these answers is about you. So do not copy your classmates and just do your work, okay? Until our second video. Goodbye, class. Hello, class. Welcome back to our second video for this exercise. I want to say thank you for submitting your work for the first task. It was very good and very insightful that you have known a lot about the Chinese New Year's. You know about all these things that I presented to you, and you even know more. So many other stuff. So I want to thank you for that. Also, I want to thank you for some of you guys for joining me in Zoom so we can communicate and talk more about these lessons. Now, on to our second task for today's. Our second task is on page 57 and 58. But before you do your task, I want you to read the text first. The text is on page 56 and 57. It is about the history of Chinese New Year's, how it started, and how long was the first Chinese New Year was celebrated so long ago, and the events that they celebrated. This is a brief history about Chinese New Year's that will help us through our lesson. If you want to learn more about Chinese New Year's, you can come back on Zoom with me and we can discuss it, and we can do some research on it so we can go to further details about Chinese New Year's and why they celebrate it. But for this task, I want you to read the text on page 56 and 57 and answer the questions on 57 and 58. But I want you to do only section C. Section C have 6 questions. And all the answers can be found in your reading. Okay, you will be given 40 minutes to complete this task because you also have to read. So when you are finished with your task, please send it to my personal Telegram so I can correct it and give you back your score. Okay, class, till our next video, goodbye. Hello class, welcome back to our last video for today's lessons. In today's lesson, we have talked about Chinese New Year's, and we have learned a lot about Chinese New Year's. So as in our first video, I asked you, during what month is Chinese New Year celebrated? And most of you answered the end of January and early February, which means you are correct. And as we know through our lesson, Chinese New Year usually lasts about 2 weeks for the Chinese nationals. But for foreigners, meaning someone that's not Chinese, we usually celebrate that for about 3 or 4 days for Chinese New Year's. And we know that the Lunar Calendar, which is the calendar based by the moon system, operates and gives us the day when we celebrated Chinese New Year, whether it is in late January or early February. Chinese New Year's go by the lunar calendars, which most of Cambodians' calendar also goes by the lunar calendars. Do you notice that? And we also learn about the Lantern festivals, how they celebrated Lantern festivals, and during what day they celebrated the Lantern festivals. As we have learned that the Lantern festivals is celebrated on the last day of Chinese New Year, which is the what? Okay, the Lantern festival is celebrated during the full moon for Chinese New Year, where we burn or light up a lantern. So as we studied through our lesson, the lantern is the round ball where we put a candle or a light inside the ball and it floats it up into the air, which I will upload the pictures on our post. That is called a lantern. And the festival, as we learned, festival is the event. So we light up the lantern, maybe groups of probably hundreds of people at the same time light up the lantern and float up in the air to represent good fortune for the upcoming years. Thank you for discussing that with me, and thank you for sharing your knowledge about Chinese New Year with me. Okay, now on to our homework. Your homework is on page 58, section D. Can you bring out your book and turn to page 58, section D? Okay, page 58 talks about, let me turn my page to page 58. Section D, it wants you to put these phrases in the bottom pages into the correct group. What are phrases? Phrases are the words in a sentence. So they have maybe like 8 or 9 phrases here and 3 groups. And out of all these phrases about the Chinese New Year, they want you to put it in their group. For one, the preparation of Chinese New Year's, meaning the beginning of Chinese New Year's. What are the phrases for that? And 2, the traditional entertainments. You know, as we studied during Chinese New Year, there are a lot of entertainments, like things you go see, things you go do. What are the entertainments? If you find the entertainments, you can put it under the entertainment phrase. And your last phrase was ways to celebrate with families and friends. So which one of these phrases are ways to celebrate with your family and friends? I want to take these words out and put it under that phrase. Again, you write this in your notebook if you have no more room to write in your textbooks. You will have 1 whole week by the time we start our next week lesson to submit me your homework. Again, like I remind you before, please do your homework and send it to me, because the ending of the physical years of school is coming soon, and all your grades, your homework, your tasks will be counted and scored and marked on your report card. So it is very important to do your work. It's very important to show up in class and so you can study with us. And it's very important to do all your tasks and the quizzes that I sent you, because all that scored will be marked on your report cards for your final scores. So please do your homework and turn it in to me, okay? Okay, until the next time we see each other, be safe, stay healthy. Bye, class.